Okay, it's recording. Okay, hi, my name's Lisa Engel-Franklin, and I'm a rainbow energy healing practitioner. I'm also a Reiki master and a Reiki teacher, and I'm an integrative energy therapy master as well. I've trained with Doreen Virtue for Angel Intuitive, and a certified angel card reader, and also a fairyologist. So that's a little bit about me. I work with God and the archangels with the higher chakras. And today I'm doing interviews. And today my guest is Patricia LaDale Lane, better known to me as Patty. She's my friend and teacher and mentor. And I've known her for, I want to say, almost a decade now, because we started way back with Chakratopia. And I'm very thankful and happy to have you here, Patricia. So if you could go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about you, and then we'll get started.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for inviting me on your show. I appreciate that. Like you mentioned, we've known each other about 10 years now, I believe, and learned a lot from one another. My name is Patricia LaDale Lane, and you can find me on my website, which is Sacred Spaces by Patricia. So it's www.sacredspacesbypatricia. And also my email address, which is my name, Patricia LaDale, it's L-A-D-A-L-E Lane, @yahoo.com. My website has a pretty good description on it of what I do, but let me just give you a little bit of information about me. I've written a book. I'm an author. I'm a public speaker and a spiritual teacher. And I teach a plethora of things, different things. I am a Reiki master teacher. I teach a class a month here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I also own a crystal store. So I'm all about energy, healing ourselves with energy. I work a lot with empaths because I'm an empath, and a lot with women who are just trying to heal themselves. And I've been on a healing journey all of my life, but the last 10 years, that journey became critical to me. I had to make massive changes in my life, and I was guided by the angels every step of the way. I've also studied under Doreen and Charles Virtue. And I'll share some stories with you, but I like to tell women that I provide the tools and understanding to help women navigate their spiritual journeys with clarity and purpose. Because I went through this huge awakening and awakenings are not pretty. And for lack of word, I'm not crazy about the word awakening, but I don't know how to explain it as being anything other than that. And I wrote a book about that. It is called The Angels Orchestra, and it's a little book about a big spiritual journey. You can find my book on Amazon. It's available in print, and also the little book, what is it, the Nook books, so you can buy it in print or you can get it electronic. About 10 years ago, I was very sick. I had suffered from a stroke. It had paralyzed my left side. I'm an empath. I was in a narcissistic marriage. I became very, very ill with all of those things that empaths get, the fibromyalgia, the chronic fatigue, and I also had something called adrenal fatigue. And all of the medications that the doctors put me on, I have no doubt some of them probably saved my life, but I also became very, very sick with them because I'm very sensitive to medications.
And with all the side effects and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was searching for a way to heal myself. I had gotten out of that marriage, which was one of the hardest things for me to do. If any of the empaths that may be listening to this that are in those types of marriages and relationships, it's almost like we lose ourselves in those relationships. And But inside of me, I knew that if I did not take control of my life and empower myself in some way, that I would not be here long. So the first step I took was walking away from that marriage. I basically gave everything away and started over. And it was one of the scariest things I've ever done. I always tell my girls when I'm, coaching them or teaching them that the bliss is always on the other side of the fear. And I totally find that to be true over and over and over again, no matter what we're doing. Even if we're working for the angels and we're out there putting ourselves out there reading cards or doing coaching or, even teaching classes, we have all of this self-talk that we feel, we have to really step through those fears and step through that self-talk. And I'm very confident now, but that was not always so. Right. So we have to do this work in order to do the work.
Yeah, fear can be a big obstacle. It can paralyze us on many levels,
Yes, it can. And when you're an empath, you're more prone to that because you're very sensitive to energies. And when you're in a marriage which is not supportive, then you also don't have that support of, someone to walk that path alongside you. Fortunately, I reconnected with a man that I had fallen in love with back when we were teenagers, and we've been married 9 years next month.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, happy anniversary early. Yeah. You're so lucky to have somebody to walk with you on your spiritual path, because I know myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people are going it alone, and it's really hard.
And I know how blessed I am. And I know that what I'm doing with my spiritual work and my spiritual life and my spiritual journey I know that it's blessed because of all the great things that have happened to me. And I live in gratitude. It's one of the things I teach is to become a giver and to live in gratitude, because those are vibrational things.
Right.
So, I read Louise Hay's books. I took Reiki. I was guided to continue to take Reiki, and then I was guided along this journey that I've been on to begin to teach. That was scary. It was like, who am I to teach Reiki? I love it. But I was told, and this is a real important thing. And when I say I was told, it was in meditation, this came to me. So I know my angels gave me this. And in my mind, when I saw and heard that I was to begin to teach, the first thing I thought was, oh, I don't know enough, right?
Right.
And what came back immediately, and why I know this was such a valid instruction for me, was my angel said, you know enough to begin, and you can always continue to learn. Mm-hmm. Anybody knows enough to begin. Mm-hmm. Everybody has knowledge. We all have spiritual knowledge of some kind. We're all passionate about certain spiritual things if we're on this journey. Mm-hmm. Begin to share that, because we're all one another's teachers. We're all one another's students. And believe it or not, we are all one another's healers. And if you are an empath, you are a healer in some way, shape, or form.
Right. That's the one thing that impressed me. Well, several things impressed me. With you, you're very persistent, because even though you've gone through all the stuff that you've gone through, you've been working full time too. And that's, yes, in the corporate world. And that's a big thing, because that's very stressful in itself, So you haven't given up, like a lot of people would want to give up or whatever, because things get too stressful, too hard, too difficult, whatever,
Believe me, there are times when I think, how am I going to do all of this that I have on my calendar? How am I going to juggle this and manage this? And, I do a class a week, a class a month, a Reiki class a month. So that's a weekend. I do 1 2-day fair a month. where I sell crystals and do readings or dowse. I'm a dowser with a pendulum. And I also, what else do? I do the Reiki class. I do personal workshops. I do readings here at the house. And I still work the corporate job. So most months I may have one weekend free.
Wow.
Some months I don't even have that. And then on top of all of that, my husband and I, our passion is traveling, so we travel a lot. And I'm always buying crystals for the crystal store. I sell a lot of crystals online. I like to educate people about crystals because it's been one of the tools
Right.
of a high vibration that I have learned about on my journey. It was something that helped to heal me, was the learning about the crystals.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's so many tools, with the vibrational. I mean, everything has a vibration, everything has energy, and all of it can come together, and help us.
Yes, and that's what I love about what I do. And by the way, I'm planning to retire from the corporate job this year, so I'm out there even more doing more things. I'll be heading to New York City this year to teach some workshops up there.
Wow.
People are inviting me from all over the country to come to their stores or their homes and teach some workshops. Another thing I teach is intuitive tarot. So I teach, how to read cards with intuition, just like Charles Virtue and Doreen Virtue taught me to do. I honestly believe that working with angels is the key to everything that I do. It started for me with my dad's near-death experience. That started me on this spiritual journey of just, oh my gosh, the experience that he had. I want to learn about that. I want to know as much as there is to know about people that experience those near-death experiences.
Roughly how old were you when your dad passed?
I was about 33.
Okay.
When my dad had a near-death experience, and he was with us about a year after that, and that's also in my book.
Okay.
So that opened up I've never gone to a traditional church. I've never felt comfortable. I've never tied into a traditional church. And I'm grateful that I didn't, because I say I'm free to explore everything that resonates with me, right?
Right. You didn't have to unlearn anything.
Exactly.
Right. But I've got a question. Did you have, because I experienced things when I was little, did you experience any kind of anything spiritual?
I did. When I was little, I had prophetic dreams. I had prophetic dreams, sometimes about death, around death, someone that was going to pass away. But I had prophetic dreams, and they scared my parents. So I kind of shut it down. I think I feel like I'd done something wrong.
Right.
I always tell my girls, listen to your kids, especially when they're telling you about their dreams, and don't shut them down, whatever you do, because when we dream, that's God's way of talking to us.
Right.
God and the angels talk to us through dreams.
I had some kind of an experience, and I remember being only 4 or 5 and talking a lot about stuff. And I can remember my father making fun of me and my friend that lived 2 doors away, that she was the same age. And we were always out in the gardens, and I'm guessing we were with the fairies, okay? And I must have been saying something, and I got shut down and mocked about stuff. And that just,
Kids are sensitive, the younger children are very sensitive, and they, there's so many amazing books out there about children that have past life. I'm also a past life regressionist. Children that come into this world and they remember past lives up to a certain age, then they begin to fade. There's some amazing stories about past lives and past life memories. If that resonates with you, I totally it totally resonates with me. But I always tell my students, take what resonates with you. Speaking of resonating,
Right.
leave the rest on the table. And I always say, if you pick up a book and it doesn't resonate with you now, put it up on a shelf. Because chances are, a couple of years down the road, you may pick that little book up and you may glance through it and you may go, wow, this is the best book I've ever read, right?
Right.
We're all different. Don't ever let anyone impose their beliefs on you if it doesn't resonate with you.
Right.
Spiritual teachers are not God, and we usually teach from our experiences. And the things that have, absolutely resonated with us is usually what we teach. Your path may be different, totally different. So, they say when the student is ready, the teacher will come. And I really, truly find that to be so very, very true.
Yeah.
And right now is just such a time of, especially at the fairs. I do 2 of the largest fairs in North Texas and have been doing those for many, many years now. So I have a big following of people that go from, to the fairs to see me. That may be the only time I see them. But I do a lot of messenger, a lot of, coaching and talking and telephone. There's just a huge, for lack of a better word, awareness or awakening with the younger women right now, and men, but I mainly work with women, from the early 20s to, early 30s. They are just having these experiences like what you and I have experienced.
Yeah. For like the last 2 years since I've been here in Miami, I have had that audience, quote unquote, that I've run into
they're
people.
Looking for the teachers. They're looking, they're searching. Please teach me this.
And I think a lot of them can see auras or read people or whatever, and they don't know what to do about it. But I mean, several times I've had people just like clinging to me, because, they want to talk to me or whatever. And we've had some very interesting discussions, very interesting. So I know that they're open, really open,
Yes. There's so much more out there now than when I was in my 30s and I was, searching for the information. But yeah, I'd like to share a little bit about what happened to me and how the last 10 years, how it just all kind of exploded. If you would like to hear my little story.
That'd be great.
And also, if you go out to my website, which is sacredspacesbypatricia.com, I'll gift you or any of your viewers with a free chapter from my book.
Oh, cool.
So,
cool. And at the end, you can repeat that information so that we'll have it, and I'll post it in the link too.
But I had left that marriage, and I was struggling. I'd had a stroke. I'd had to go part-time in my corporate job because I couldn't work. I didn't have the energy to work a full-time job. And I had taken Reiki 1. I had heard about Reiki. I had decided I'm going to take Reiki 1. And I went to a teacher who taught Reiki 1 and Reiki 2 separately. I teach them together in the same weekend. But anyway, so I was Reiki 1 certified and reading a lot of things. And I was actually reading a book about reconnective energy by Eric Pearl. I found that book to be fascinating. And I was sitting at a red light in Fort Worth on my way to the corporate job, and I looked up, and on the front of this bus where the next destination shows was the word Raphael in bold green letters. And I looked away, in my mind, I thought, there's not a street in Fort Worth by that name, right? And when I looked back, it said Rosedale. But I had seen Raphael with my eyes, and I had never had that happened to me before. Never had I seen something with my eyes that wasn't really there physically. So I called my husband, and I got to work, and I called him, and I said, wow. And I told him what happened. We were dating then. I don't think we were married yet, but we had reconnected after 33 years. And I said, do you know what Raphael means? Because I didn't. And he said, I think that's one of the archangels. And I said, I wonder if it's the archangel of healing, right? Because I was Reiki 1, right? I was wanting to be a healer. I felt like I was a healer. And he said, I think Raphael is. Google it and see. So I did. I Googled it on the computer at work, and Archangel Raphael was the angel of healing. And I was so excited. I've always loved angels. I sent up a prayer and I said, wow, I saw that. Give me another sign, right? That's what we need to do. We see a sign. We see something. We know. Give me another one, right? So the sign came pretty quickly because I got home from work that night and I turned on the television. I didn't even change the channel. I kid you not. I was in this house all by myself, and on TV up pops this documentary, and it's about Archangel Raphael, Michael, and Gabriel. That documentary was beautiful. It was mostly filmed, like around Rome, and there was all these angel statues, and they went into all this detail about those three traveling together and being known as the Band of Mercy Angels.
Wow.
So I sat there and watched this for an hour, mesmerized, and when it was over, I thought, I think the angels are coming to take me. I think it's my time. Right? No. I did. That's exactly what I thought. And I heard, because I'm clairaudient, I heard, well, we're gonna talk to you through the angels because you love us so much.
Wow.
Right? Look around. I distinctly heard this. It wasn't a voice. It's just these, you learn to distinguish the messages when they come in. They're of higher vibration. They're very fast. And if you don't grab them right then, when those little messages come in, you lose them really quick. It's that high vibration. And I looked around and there's all my mother's angel statues in front of me in a case. 2 bookcases, 2 shelves full of angels books, people's encounters with angels. Over the television, a painting that Jimmy had done for me, my husband. We call it Soul Solace. It's our souls going up to heaven. As soon as we reconnected, he's an artist and he painted that picture, which I use on the cover of my book. So I sat back and I said, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. Let me know what it is. Give me
total
a clear
surrender.
message.
Total surrender.
I surrender. I total surrender. I don't have a whole lot of energy. I don't have a whole lot of money, but lead me and I will follow as best as I can. Just tell me and give me the energy to do it, right? So about a week later, my Reiki teacher called me and she said, Patty, I'm going to Houston for a long workshop. She said it's about 3 days long to learn how to read angel cards with Charles Virtue.
Wow.
If you'd like to go, we'll need to stay in a hotel room. And I think the class was like $700. It was a lot of money. A lot of money to me then, right?
Right.
And I didn't hesitate. I said, read angel cards, right? If she'd said, I'm going to learn to read cards, I probably would have said, I don't think I'm ready for that. But that word angel was in there. Who knew? I didn't even know there was such a thing as angel cards. I mean, I was totally blindsided. And I said yes and put it on a credit card. I had to go. It was the 3rd sign.
Yeah. You got nudged. You got nudged to go.
And so we went, and I'm not kidding you. I was in this room of like 300 women from all over the world. I mean, I made friends that live in Italy and all over the world. A lot of these women were already professionally doing this kind of work, and I totally felt out of my element, but it's okay. Some miracles happened in there. when I left that, I was, I had this serious talk with God and my angels. And I said, okay, so this is what you want me to do. I will do it. But, I don't have a lot of energy. You need to give me the energy, make it easy, right? I mean, I'm setting down the rules. Here's the rules if I'm going to do this.
You told them the rules?
Make it easy and get me into the places that I need to be to do this work, right?
Right.
And within 3 months, I was reading at one of the largest psychic fairs in the United States, the Dallas Psychic Fair.
Mm-hmm.
And within 6 months, I was reading at probably every weekend. I was at a fair reading every weekend. And when you do this work, you have to realize that we are constantly evolving, right? We have to constantly evolve. I don't do a whole lot of readings now. I started out, that was the way to develop my intuition. That was one of the triggers, one of the cards. Now I teach others how to read. But that was the beginning of the journey. And I think one thing when we're doing spiritual work is we always, of course, we need to meditate. Praying is when we're asking, meditation is when we receive. Make sure you have that quiet time every morning. I try to meditate 30 minutes to an hour every morning. I'm up before anyone. I've regained my health. I feel great. I still work the corporate job and I do all of this. So obviously God gave me what I asked for, right? And be careful what you ask for, right, Lisa?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I continue to evolve and grow. And it's an amazing life. It's a magical life.
Well, just in the time that I've known you, Patty, you've grown a lot from, like I said,
I'm a Gemini.
Utopia days to now.
I'm a Gemini. I juggle so many different things. I am so looking forward to retirement sometime this year. And I'll know when the time is right, because who knows what I'm going to be doing once this retirement comes in. I see myself traveling all over and teaching Reiki. I teaching a class a month. I have a lot of Reiki students in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I have plans to do 2 retreats this year for the highest level of Reiki, which is Karuna, because I have a lot of master students that are ready to step into Karuna. I like to say that I teach the Reiki teachers of tomorrow because I really want them to experience. I want everyone to learn Reiki or whatever that is that appeals to you, whatever that is. Because every time you learn a modality, every time you learn something new, you're empowering yourself and adding another tool to your toolbox. So learn everything that you can. You may not use something that you learn today, but you'll probably be using it tomorrow, or you will be taking a little bit from we always tell our Reiki students, learn about crystals. The lady that I teach with is a Lakota shaman, so she's Native American, and for her it's the feathers and the Native American tools is what she uses, although she uses crystals as well. But it's fascinating to watch and see how you can take Reiki and make it your own. And that's what we tell our students to do.
I think that's the thing, that we learn all these things, and in some way, shape, or form, then we're going to use them later on in some way. And help teach others in some way, shape, or form.
Yes. If you don't use it for yourself, you're going to use it to heal someone else. But everything that we learn, everything spiritually that we absorb, it's just that bliss. It's that bliss of being, my doctor, it's so funny because every time I go in for a physical, I'm at that age where they ask you the questions, Are you depressed? Do you
Right.
suffer? Blah, 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 blah. And you know, Lisa, honestly, at one time in my life when I was in that marriage that was so bad, I
Mm-hmm.
was on every depression medication there ever was.
Oh, yeah.
Every depression medic. I didn't love myself. I
Right.
didn't know how to love myself. I was too busy trying to take care of him and please him. I lost myself in that marriage.
I went through that not only during a marriage, but a divorce, and then a lot of other stuff over my lifetime. I was depressed a great deal of
Yes.
the time. And
Yes.
then with the rainbow energy healing is when I had a big breakthrough. After
Yeah.
coming back from studying with Doreen and everything, things really took off and I had tremendous healing. And
As women, I think we give so much of ourselves to these, to things, to raising our children, of course, and we
right.
give and we give and we give, and we don't realize that we have to love ourselves and do the things that we are passionate about. And that this is
There's not
what,
a book on, there's not a, like when we were growing up, there wasn't a book, a
right,
manual of how to do that. And
yeah,
so now we've had to learn, you know.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's about us healing ourselves, empowering ourselves. It's about helping the young women who,
Mhm.
you know, helping them to to heal themselves. First of all, there's so many that are suffering with panic attacks and anxiety
Anxiety, yeah. And
and just,
depression.
yeah, and depression, yes, at such a young age. And and I believe that, you know, I look back over my life and I believe that everything that I've gone through in my life is so that I can help others
Mhm.
that are going through it in their lives now.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And lift them up and raise them up. I do have a bachelor's degree in metaphysics from the University of Sedona and a counseling degree that goes along with that. Um, so my passion is about energy.
Mhm.
It's about how do we raise our vibration? What are those things that we can do to help ourselves to heal? So that's usually the baseline that I start at,
Mhm.
is how can I lift myself up energetically? Because study energy, everything in the
Right.
world is energy.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of in-person things. Are you going to be doing anything more online at all? Because I know that I was able to take a course with you online. I'm just wondering if with things, you know, going forward, if you're going to be doing any
Yeah.
online
Um,
stuff or
right now, the online is going to probably wait until I'm retired when I have some more time to do it. You
okay.
took my, I think it was my 12-week workshop,
For the
Healing the
empaths.
Healer, the
Yep. Yep.
Empath's
Yep.
Journey.
Yep.
I also have a workshop that's in the works, and this one is going to be one that I do in Austin. It's going to be more of a weekend retreat kind of thing.
Interesting.
And it's going to be the lessons from the Angels Orchestra, because in the back of my book, I talk about the lessons that I learned
Mhm.
on this journey. So it's going to be kind of based on my book. So we'll just go through, you know, through those things and the things that I've learned.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yes, I would love to do more online workshops. Um, limited by time right now. I've learned to not, I have to manage my energy right now and manage my time.
Sure.
But as soon as I step away from that corporate job, I'll have more time
Okay.
to do.
Well, I know with the crystals, that keeps you real busy and the fairs. But
Yes.
I'm one of your customers for crystals, so we could talk about that stuff like with another interview and
Yeah,
everything.
I'm hoping we can do a few more of these, and I can
Mhm.
talk about energy. I can talk about crystals, dowsing and pendulums, going to a little more details about some of the in-person workshops that
Right.
I teach here in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, there's about 7 or 8 different workshops that I teach in person.
Okay.
Um,
Well, one of the questions that I had for you, and I don't think I mentioned this to you before we started, but I'm going to ask everybody that I interview, if you had a chance to talk to your younger self, what would you tell your younger self?
Oh,
Knowing what you know now.
knowing what I know now,
Yeah.
I would tell myself not to give pieces of my soul away, not to spend my life trying to make someone else happy, which is basically what I did in my 2 marriages. Um, I would teach them that the first thing you can do for yourself is love yourself. Learn how to love yourself, because that is the key to the kingdom. I truly believe learning to love yourself is the key to the kingdom of good health. Negative self-talk hurts us so much. Once again, we're on the subject of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to share one little thing about energy, is that our thoughts affect our vibration.
Oh, totally.
That's very simple. It's simple metaphysics.
Mm-hmm.
What we eat affects our vibration. How we allow others to treat us affects our energy and our vibration. So what would I do differently if I were a young woman? I would learn about energy. I would learn how to love myself. I would learn the tools and techniques for keeping my energy clean and clear.
Mm-hmm.
I would learn to do the things on that bucket list. I would say make that bucket list.
Make it early.
Make it early. Don't wait until you're, in your 60s. Make it early. And start doing those things that you want. If you want to travel, and
Oh, yeah. That's a big
if
one.
you've got children, take them with you. If you don't have children, it's a big one. It is a big one. Live life on your own terms.
Mm-hmm.
And realize that the people that we surround ourselves with
It's very important.
influence us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many kids are there in today's world that are doing things that are not good because they're in these areas where they're affected by gangs, and it's like, well, if I don't do what they do, right?
The peer pressure. Yeah,
peer pressure. Don't give the pieces of your heart and pieces of your soul away.
Mm-hmm.
Know what intuition is and develop intuition. I remember I talk in my book about my first marriage all the way to where we got married. This little voice was going, no, 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 no. Why was it doing that? Because I had already met Jimmy. We had moved apart from one another. We'd not been able to get back together, but he was my soulmate, and it was not him that I was marrying. And I was marrying someone else because all of my friends were married, and I thought it was time for me to get married. Granted, I loved the man I married, but he was not.
He wasn't the one.
Learn what that voice of intuition sounds like. I mean, that is loving yourself and learning to trust our intuition.
Not only your voice in your inner voice, but your body can tell you.
Your intuition is in your gut.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it.
So This has been really great. I'm so glad that we got this time to talk and everything. And going forward here, I just want to recap. You can tell us again how to reach you, but I wanted to thank you so much for doing this interview. And I'm looking forward to more interviews with you.
Your beautiful face.
Yeah. So tell my viewers where the people that are listening, where they can get in touch with you.
You can reach me through my email address, Patricia LaDale. It's LADALE Lane, LANE, at yahoo.com, or my website. It's Sacred Spaces by Patricia.com. You can pick up my book on Amazon in electronic or print. So send me an email if you'd like to work with me. My website is very Celtic because I'm Native American and Irish. So it's a great website. I had a really, really great girl build that for me. She did a wonderful job. So there's lots of pictures of me in Ireland out there. And I've been so blessed the last several years to be able to travel to Ireland and England and to do some of the, and never give up hope. There was a time in my life when I was so sick, I pretty much thought my life was over, that I was going to spend most of my time, the rest of my life in bed, really. I was that sick. I was that ill. When you wake up in the morning, before your feet hit the ground, connect with the angels and say, show me the magic today. Give me guidance. My heart is desiring to know you. And then keep your eyes open for the signs, because they will begin to talk to you if you invite them into your life. Become a giver. Become a giver. I'm not talking about giving money. Give a compliment. Find some way to raise your vibration to where you can find that joy in your heart. However that is, by doing some artistic thing, by listening to music, whatever that is that gives you that joy and bliss, and just do a little bit of that every single day until you reach that point. There is still magic in the world. I guarantee it. There is still magic in the world. You just have to ask for it and then keep your eyes open to following the signs.
Yeah.
So
thank you, Patty. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to our next interview. And they can also find you on Facebook.
Oh, yes, Facebook, Patricia LaDale Lane. I have a business page. I'm not out there very much, but if you'll connect with me on my personal page. And then I have a little crystal store out there too. So
I was going to mention. Yep.
Sacred Spaces, Crystal Stones. Yep. Sacred Spaces, Crystal Stones. My branding is Sacred Spaces. And I educate on crystals. So you'll find information out there. Crystals are wonderful. One of the shows that we meetups that we do will be, we'll talk a little more in depth about crystals and how they can help us.
That's right. Okay.
Energetically.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Patty.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it so much.
I appreciate you doing it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.